Hello and welcome back to yet another video on the Alejandro Hernandez podcast. These are going to be my official picks for week 14 of the NFL season. I want to kind of switch things up for this video in particular. I'm only going to be covering 6 games of the week 14 slate. Obviously, this upload is delayed. I had a couple things come up which delayed the process of me uploading this video. However, I am going to give you guys my 6 biggest locks of the week. I can't do the full slate, so I'm just going to start this off with the first game of the 1 p.m. slate. Let's do the Seattle Seahawks versus the Atlanta Falcons. I think this is the biggest layup of the year. Give me Seattle to win and cover the spread, which is set at -6.5. The Seahawks have been the best road team in the entire NFL, and when they play inferior opponents, they usually leave no margin for error. They leave the field knowing that they are by far the way better team. They usually blow their opponents out, especially weaker opponents. And in the particular matchup, you have the Seahawks defense, which is playing like a top 5 unit in the NFL, against Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons offense without Drake London. Right now, the Falcons' only weapon really is Bijan Robinson because they don't even use Kyle Pitts anymore in the pass game, which is just insane. I don't know why you draft a guy 4th overall and just refuse to get him the ball. So that's discredit to the Falcons' offensive coordinator. Obviously, Drake London has been in and out of the lineup the whole year. Kirk Cousins is immobile. The Seahawks are going to blitz the hell out of him, force some turnovers on Kirk Cousins. On the other side of the ball, JSN will dominate this game in the receiving game. So give me Seattle to win and cover the spread, which is set at -6.5. This is the biggest layup of the year in my opinion. So yeah, that's going to be the first pick of the day. Now for the next game, it's going to be the Buffalo Bills hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. Josh Allen versus Joe Burrow. Once again, we've seen this matchup several times. The most notable one being in the playoffs when the Bengals went into Buffalo and absolutely humiliated the Bills, beating them 27-10. However, that was more than 3 years ago. We are now in 2025, and I'm going to be picking the Bills to win and cover the spread, which is set at -6.5. I think this is just a horrible matchup for the Bengals. Horrible matchup. Last week, I wouldn't say it was a fluke win over the Ravens because Joe Burrow played awesome. However, just that defense, I think that was an outlier performance from the Bengals defense. Getting all those turnovers and stopping the Ravens time and time again. I believe that was more about the Ravens being really bad than it was the Bengals defense actually being good. I think this matchup is horrible for Cincinnati because they cannot stop the run. They simply cannot stop the run, and the Bills, unlike the Ravens, actually lean into their run game instead of going away from it. So I think James Cook has a massive game today against the Cincinnati Bengals at home. I think the Bills dominate this game from start to finish. Joe Burrow's playing catch-up the entire way. He probably puts up some good numbers. Jamar Chase also puts up good numbers, but I don't think this game is particularly close. Give me the Bills to win and cover by a touchdown. Now for the next 1 p.m. game, it's going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Indianapolis Colts. This is a huge game. Both teams enter 8-4. The winner of this game takes sole command of the AFC South. It's a huge game, and I'm going to lean Jacksonville as the home underdog to win this game. Jacksonville has not lost to the Indianapolis Colts at home since 2015. It has been 10 years since the Colts went into Jacksonville and won. That is a clear home field advantage for Jacksonville, and right now I just think Jacksonville's playing way better football. And I believe the only way the Jags lose this game is if Trevor Lawrence loses them the game. And right now they have some pretty good receivers. Jacoby Myers was a great sneaky addition at the trade deadline. He's been their number 1 receiver since they acquired him. Bretton Strange, the tight end, is back from IR. He had a great game last week catching a touchdown pass against the Titans. Then you also have Brian Thomas Jr. on your team. However, they've been struggling to get him the ball this year. I don't expect him to have this nuclear game, but they still have him as a clear weapon. And then they also have Parker Washington operating the slot. So this Jags team has weapons, and their offensive line's been playing well. They've been run blocking really well for Travis Etienne and Tootin. They've been playing great football, complementary football on the offensive side of the ball, just minus the Trevor Lawrence turnovers. If Trevor Lawrence stops turning the ball over, stops the boneheaded decision making, this Jacksonville team is very dangerous, because on the defensive side of the ball, they are one of the best teams in the league at taking the ball away. And right now the Colts offense is simply struggling. Daniel Jones has regressed, and you can put it on the broken I believe it's the broken fibula or tibia. I'm not sure which muscle it is in the leg, but right now he is not operating to the best of his ability. And now teams are just solely stacking the box against Jonathan Taylor and saying, we are not going to let Jonathan Taylor beat us. Jacksonville is one of the best teams in the league at stopping the run, so I expect them to do so. Daniel Jones is going to be forced to throw the ball. Jacksonville has a great pass rush with Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker. And yeah, I believe Jacksonville is going to win this game. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be probably close to the end, but I do expect Jacksonville to get the better of the Colts because right now they're playing better football. And in a game for my life, I trust Trevor Lawrence more than I do Daniel Jones in the clutch. So that's why I'm going to lean Jacksonville at home to get their 11th straight home win against the Indianapolis Colts. Now, for the last 1 p.m. game that I'm covering, it's going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens. This is going to be a defensive slugfest, in my opinion. I think both offenses right now are not performing at a high level. I think this game is going to be in the low teens and low 20s. And I think the Ravens will win, but I do believe Pittsburgh will cover the spread, which is set at plus 5.5. The Ravens right now just don't look very good offensively. Lamar Jackson's obviously not 100%. And the Steelers could very well win this game. However, I am going to lean Baltimore because they are the home team and they have the better run game with Derrick Henry. It's just whether or not they decide to use him. When they do use him, I talked about this in my video, I believe it was released on Wednesday, about John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin and how they're potentially on the hot seat. The Ravens, when they utilize Derrick Henry, I believe are either 12-1 or 13-1 when he gets 20 plus carries, and then they're 7-11 when he does not get 20 plus carries. The main determinant factor of whether the Ravens win this game or not is if they feed Derrick Henry. And we saw last week the Steelers could not stop the run. James Cook and Ty Johnson, Josh Allen went for over 250 yards rushing on that Steeler defense. The Ravens, if they saw that performance from the Bills and don't replicate the same game plan, then I don't know what to say about that coaching staff. There's something seriously wrong with that coaching staff if they do not lean into Derrick Henry in this game and let him dominate on the ground. I expect them to do so. I hope they do so, because if they do, they will most definitely win this game. So give me the Ravens to win, but I do think the Steelers keep it close because they probably force a turnover or two on Lamar Jackson. The Steelers might even lead early, but I expect the Ravens to come back and win in a close game. Give me Baltimore to win, but Pittsburgh to cover the spread. And now for the only 425 game I'm going to be tuning into, it's going to be the Chicago Bears at the Green Bay Packers. And I know everyone's expecting a great game. I know it's being hyped up as this great matchup. However, I am going to be leaning the Packers to win and cover the spread, which is set at -6.5. I think Green Bay wins in a large margin. I think that the Bears are outmatched in this particular matchup, and it's because of due to the play of Jordan Love. Jordan Love has been playing lights out recently. On Thanksgiving, obviously, he balled out. The Packers are also getting Jaden Reed back, so they'll have Reed, Matthew Golden back, Christian Watson. They have their full arsenal of offensive weapons back, and this Packers team is dangerous. And on the defensive side of the ball, I think the Bears are going to struggle to block Micah Parsons. I think he's going to wreck this game the same way he wrecked the game against the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving. I think Micah Parsons makes his presence felt in this game. The Bears are going to want to run the ball. The Packers know they're going to want to run the ball. That's going to be the biggest determinant factor in this game. Will the Bears be able to run the ball successfully on the Packers defense? That is going to be the biggest determinant factor. And another determinant factor I believe that's going to decide this game is the play of Caleb Williams. He has been a roller coaster this year. There's been a lot of ups and there's been a lot of lows. A lot of highs and a lot of lows is what I meant to say. Caleb Williams has not been able to find consistent play over the course of even 60 minutes in the game. Usually he'll start the first half bad, then turn it up in the second half, or he'll start the first half really good or the first drive of the game really good, and then just struggle with his accuracy. Caleb Williams, this is the most important game of your career thus far. How will you compete against Jordan Love? Right now, in this spot, I trust Jordan Love at home to be the better quarterback in this matchup. And I think Caleb Williams is going to lose the Bears this game. I think he's going to play too much hero ball. Micah Parsons is going to get some sacks on him. It's going to get in his head. And I think Green Bay is just going to dominate this game from start to finish. Give me the Packers to win and cover the spread, which is set at -6.5. This is me not writing off Caleb Williams. I just think that this matchup is going to overwhelm him. That Packers pass rush is going to affect him. And once he starts getting hit, it's going to affect his accuracy. And I think it's going to go downhill from there. So that's why I like Green Bay to win and cover the spread, which is set at -6.5. Now, for Sunday Night Football, which is going to be the final game I'm covering in this week's picks, it's going to be the Houston Texans at the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to be leaning Kansas City to win and cover the spread, which is set at -3.5. I have not given up on the Chiefs. I will not give up on the Chiefs until they are mathematically eliminated. This is Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid in a do-or-die situation. And I believe it's noteworthy that the Chiefs have lost 5 of their 6 games on the road this year and have only lost 1 game at home, which means they are an excellent road team. They're really good at home. They've performed really good at home. They've had some great performances at home. They have beaten the Lions at home on Sunday Night Football, and then they also beat the Indianapolis Colts at home in a fourth quarter comeback. So I do trust Steve Spagnuolo. I believe the biggest matchup in this game is going to be the Texans D-line against the Chiefs offensive line. Obviously, they are down 3 offensive linemen. That's obviously a huge significance in this game. It's a huge swing factor. Patrick Mahomes has not been good under pressure this year when pressured by the defensive line. He has one of the lowest completion percentages in the NFL when facing pressure. So I do believe the Chiefs are going to have a game plan to attack that. They're probably going to have some quick screen passes to Rashee Rice. They're going to get Brashard Smith in space. They're probably going to take a few deep shots to Xavier Worthy. But in this spot, I am trusting Patrick Mahomes to simply just perform well in the clutch. This is as clutch as any moment is going to get for the Chiefs this year. If they lose, they are pretty much mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. They have no margin for error. They have to run the table. I believe they understand that. They're going to play with a sense of urgency, and so are the Texans. But I believe right now that CJ Stroud, this moment's going to be a little bit too big for him. Playing at Arrowhead once again, the Texans have not won in Arrowhead over the past couple of years. The Chiefs have always owned them, and I believe that trend will continue tonight against the Chiefs. I think they do get the win. It'll be close, but I believe Patrick Mahomes engineers a game-winning drive to go win this game and get the Chiefs back in the playoff race. And that is going to be it for this video, and I will see you guys next time for when I release my top 10 teams in the NFL after Week 14.